thank you, and thank you, Shiori. It's really an honor to get to talk to you. It's a brave and beautiful film, and this is the second time that I've had the honor of watching it. And the first time, I think I was just caught up in the story and the narrative. This time, what struck me was how many layers of storytelling and self-exposure there are in it. There's, you're the person it happened to, and then you're a journalist covering your own story, and you're a litigant trying to tell your story in court. And then at some point, and this is what I want to ask you about, you make this incredible decision to film yourself going through all of this. So I wanted to ask you about the moment when you decided to take that kind of leap and turn the camera on yourself, and also what it was like to film yourself going through these events.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year! I'm so happy being here because today I'm actually with the amazing editor who edited this film, Emma Ryan Yamazaki. She's there. So yeah, she's the person who made all the beautiful layer together. I think if the police and if the investigation and the Japanese legal system was working towards to support the case, I didn't even have to go public in the first place. I didn't have to write a book, and I didn't make a film about it. And as a documentary filmmaker, I've been making documentary film about other people's life, and this was my first time to actually, tell my own life story, and filming the journey was rather easier because it was happening in front of me and I could never direct, so it was actually filmed by my friend and producer Hannah Akvelin most of the time, and it was done by friends, and they were sort of like witnessing what was happening in front of me together. And first 2 years was just like for protection reason, but when I went public, I did realize in Japanese society that still the media and other journalists, it's hard to talk about this topic and this issue. And that was one of the times that I decided to, maybe I need to keep asking this question, covering this case, interviewing these people, and make a film.
That no one else was going to tell the story for you. I also am curious about what it's been like to take this film out into the world. At the beginning, you sort of address it to other survivors, and I'm wondering what you want them to take away from it, and also what they are taking away from it as you travel with the film and speak to people.
I'm just amazed to, this is my first feature film, and I never had a chance to be in a theater with the audience, and I realized that almost, 1.5 hours of your lifetime, you're stuck with this story, and even you don't know who's sitting next to each other, you're experiencing it, you're reflecting the story to yourself, and it's almost like a big group therapy session in a way, right?
There was a lot of reaction.
So that's very special, and that's where I really feel the power of cinema, of sharing the story together. It's been very special, and for me it's very special right now because we premiered at Sundance last year, January, and since then we've been traveling with this film non-stop, hoping one day we will reach back to Japan, and it hasn't happened yet, and we start having pushback. People, I don't know. It's been hard, and for the first time in a while, I had a chance to go back home and I had a little bit of difficult time. So being back in States, having this reaction, feeling warm, it feels.
Do you want me to ask about that or no? Okay, let's ask a different question. You mentioned the editing, and your editor is here, and I was struck on a second watch of just how much material you had to work with, just an overwhelming amount of material. And I think you said that the filming wasn't the hard part, but
That editing was the hard part. I mean, Emma also had to relive my trauma life of my hardest part of my life, of over 400 hours of footage. She relived it through, and it's just that I think first of all to cross the line as a journalist, to be able to tell one-sided story. I knew I can do it with documentary film, but it took some time for me to really understand it is okay. I was first thinking...
You mean to present your own perspective, not the both sides?
I was, thinking I should maybe interview Yamaguchi, the offender, to be, give him also space as a journalistic mindset, and
that would have been interesting.
Yeah, that'll be a different film.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just didn't know how much emotion is okay to show as a director. So it was a big challenge, and sometimes I had to pause because I didn't remember some of the footage. So it was whole like rediscovering of the trauma, and so after making this, it was really like, in a way, really a hardcore exposure therapy session, right, in a way. But after making it, I felt that I'm very happy with what I have built, the story, and I can tell other survivors that, or anyone who has a trauma, if you have a trauma, make a film. Really helped.
Thank you. There was a lot of emotion and reaction in the audience during the screening, so I want to turn it over to you all, and I don't know how much time we have exactly, but if there are questions in the audience, please raise a hand.
Oh, we can talk outside.
There's someone right here in front.
And we have a Emma too, so.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe you should have a mic. Tim,
me? I
No, you too. You too. But Tim, is there
Wow.
another mic that...
I think we all just feel so much emotion at your courage, and just amazed on so many different levels. But my question is really about how you are doing now. And it seemed like you went from victim to survivor to victor. And I just wonder how you're feeling. I just am concerned about you and how you're feeling, and not right now at this moment, but how you're just doing, how you're feeling.
Thank you. I like that. Victim, survivor,
Victor.
Victor. Wow, that's a new tagline. Thank you. I'm doing okay. I graduated from box wine. That's good. Drinking from the real bottle now. But it's hard. As much as we have great exposure, I feel like I'm somehow putting myself away from home. So I feel now, especially now coming again back from Japan, I have a really, really torn feeling, and now so I'm looking for a new place to live now. And but I know it's gonna take some time, so I'm believing in storytelling, and it's gonna reach somewhere. But I'm just hoping, I could have shared this moment right now with my family and friends back in Japan, because they haven't seen the film. I couldn't just send a screener. I wish they to see all together in theater. So, but then I start thinking Japanese people are so polite. So even it's comedy, thriller, they don't make any sound. So even my family goes to the theater, I don't think they will feel the reaction. So I should have bring them to America. So a lot more
we're very
support and emotions. But yeah, so
But yeah, the film, as I understand, doesn't have a distributor in Japan, which
we haven't yet
and-
been able to yet.
And I know you talked at one moment about wanting the law to change as a result of your work. Has that happened?
Yes, it has. Oh, that was your question. Great.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Good question. Well, so right after I spoke in 2017, one of the biggest change was the finally male victim can claim the rape. Before it was only for female victim to report. So that has changed. And 2023, finally, age of consent has been updated from 13 years old to 16. So that was a change. And also, but the biggest part is that the law is the rape is not defined by consent. It's still defined by the survivor who has to prove how much he or she's been threatened or violated. So it's really it's super hard still. But there one exception was added that if you are unable to consent, then you don't have to. So maybe if I were experiencing this today, maybe we were seeing a different result in a criminal system.
It's a tremendous impact to have. Any other questions? Is there anyone I'm not seeing? Yeah, in the back right.
Hi, thank you so much for this film. And I have a question just about I think it was called in the credits the abstract images, the way that you used the images of the city and from inside the cars, and I saw that there was one cinematographer maybe that was credited in that way, and I just wanted to ask how that was shot. Was it shot sometimes, as an event was happening, or was it shot during the editing process?
Thank you. I'm so happy. So abstract. Well, the motion picture animation was done by Keke Shiratama, the artist. Because when we went into the editing room, I didn't want to see my face on screen speaking. So actually, me and Keke stayed in my old apartment 1 year, trying to make what we can make image out of my diary. So we shot a lot of motion picture. So this film was gonna be a quite different one. But then, thank you, Emma. You argue with me like, hey, you can't cut off your face and what are you thinking? But at that time, as a journalist, I didn't know, and I didn't feel fair that I'm speaking too much from my own. And also because the film was shot by my friend who wasn't a camera person, Hannah, the amazing producer, but at that time her camera skill was very...
Yeah, but that works so well.
I know. But that time I'm like, I want to make a cinema, and how do we cut this thing? And
it seems very intentional.
so half of the film I was thinking to make more was this stop motion. So we have completely different B side of the film, but we only use a bit of the stop motion. And what you just described about the city landscape was actually something I decided to film after going through reading, revisiting the diary, so that I can try to remember what I was looking at, where I had the phone calls. I took my little DSLR and start filming it. And another thing is because I felt like it wasn't right to put my voice from today. I'm so different person. I was victim. I was, survivor that time, and I couldn't voice over, let's say. So the only thing I think it's okay to add was to the diary and what I was seeing through the diary. So
that's real.
That's real. So that's something we should shot it afterwards. And I also didn't want to describe too much about the Japanese society, so hoping the image of a high building, what you see through the window, can give a bit of the feeling what the society is like. So thank you so much. I'm so happy you found it interesting, because maybe we can make a different version of, maybe like in a museum or different setup.
That's a
because
great idea.
yeah,
You're
me
in the
and
right
KK
place.
really want to do it.
Okay. I think we have time for one more question, and I see someone in the very back. You, yeah, with the...
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Maybe my questions
sorry.
might seem a little bit different from whatever. I came. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I came namely unprepared to your movie. I saw it for the first time. Okay, but I have still a question to ask you as a journalist. Okay, when I try to compare you to the journalists who follow very objectively and not subjectively, like in your case, all the president's men, you know what I mean, with Watergate. Those were two people, okay, and men. So in your case, number one, my question is like a two-part
I
question.
think we might only have time for one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Did you have somehow, because you didn't have family to support you, during all your ordeal of, you mentioned like you were away from Japan for many years. Did you have some support from another partner or person while doing your job? And
So I think the question was, who was supporting you through
Yes,
this process?
thank you.
And I was very, very surprised about how quickly you learned the American English accent. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Well, that's another story. Actually, I spent 1 year when I was 16 in Kansas. But that's another story to tell. So that's how I learned how to say "holy cow." And well, actually, so when I went public, I was really isolated. I was hiding in my best friend's house, and then Hannah, the producer, and her Japanese friend Akemi, who was living in London, Skyped me out of nowhere. It wasn't Zoom, it was Skype, and saying, why don't you just move to one of our house and stay, so you can just be away from these threats and everything. And that's how I could have a safe house and start working on this project. So actually, Hannah and Akemi was these two brave women who supported from outside Japan. And so that's the time I moved to London, and how we started to working on this project. And without that support, I just can't imagine today, like, how did I survive, and how did I stay through, how did I even start making this? Because it's so hard when you're in that community, when so it's all happened because of the support. And we didn't even really thinking about film first. It was really out of support and love, and all these beautiful Hannah effect that we call. So because of her, I didn't feel like I was filmed at, shoot at. Always she was there to support.
With.
went together. Yeah. So making this whole film was, having the village, like having a family member, Emma, gave a birth while she was editing this film, and she was, feeding newborn baby when she was editing. So we all became really close. I always visited their house because that's where we edited. So making film was really like my support system. It became like my support system. So,
thank you. And I know I said one more question. There's a gentleman in the upper back. I want to just let you have the last.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Throughout the heavy themes, throughout the movie, I saw like a through line of humor, and some examples of like levity, that kind of like I don't know, didn't soften the blow, but made it more like like human. Did you think about that? Did these like going through these 400 hours of like, whoa, did levity and like, I laughed a little bit, like through these heavy themes. And so I'm wondering how you got to that point, because it really, to watch a film that's so heavy and themed, it was, I don't know, a nice release of breath to see the levity and the humanity through it all. So was that the editing, or was that just your life, I guess?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to, break the norm of the perfect victim. And so I'm really happy you laughed, because, it's all about. Second, we had an amazing editor. I think she can talk about, because she actually had many other laughing points that we had to cut out.
Hi. I'm Emma. I'm the editor. Well, she's funny, right? Shiori's funny. I mean, you're getting a little bit of the sense. Have a little drink outside, and she'll really get going. She's just a funny person, she's and when I was going through the 400 hours, I mean, the stuff that is in the film is the things that you can't write this stuff. Like, if there was a script about this, like, you can't predict how a person's going to react in the face of certain moments. And sometimes, I think she deflects a little bit with humor. That's kind of also a way to cope. But, I mean, there were things that, no matter how many times I watch, is really funny. Like when she thought she was being bugged, and it's her lav mic, and she maybe still has been bugged, but like it's those scenes. I remember at our world premiere at Sundance, someone got up and asked a similar question, but in a kind of like an offended way. Why did you include funny moments? And I was just like, you remember that? I'm just like, because it's. Like you said, like she said, it's a film. It's supposed to carry you through. It's supposed to have the maximum impact at the end of the viewing experience. And I think you need to pull from all things. And it was easy to pull these. Again, like, I wanted more funny. It was like finding the balance of like being silly, funny, but also leading up to when she isn't. She's going through really dark times, like it's all supposed to build to the end. So.
Thank you. And I think that Shiori and Emma will be joining us for the reception.
Yeah.
So I invite you all to the lobby. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. ありがとうございました。